All right. Hi, Thea.
Hello.
Hello. We haven't had a video for a while. So I'm just going to chat today about the moon and her phases, the 8 moon phases. So I'm going to share my screen because I've got a little PDF thingy. Now, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I'll move
Yep.
that.
It's on the whole screen. Yep.
Oh, it's on the whole screen? Very
Yep.
good. You can't see all that stuff at the top of the toolbar, can you?
No.
Oh, good. Okay. Technical stuff we need to work through.
I can see you in the top right-hand corner.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
Yep.
All right, cool. So yeah, this is it's an information PDF that I've put together to help people just have an understanding of the 8 main moon phases. Because I always share on my socials about the moon and what's happening with the moon. And I suppose a lot of people usually, when they think about the moon, they default to the new moon and the full moon.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other things going on between those two phases. So I've called it Moon Magic. I may change the name. I don't know. Okay. How do I change to the next one? Okay. How do I go to the next page?
You should have.
Do I just go like that? No. Okay. Okay. It's not. But that's.
There should be a little clicker somewhere.
Yeah.
Not an arrow on your keypad to the right.
Let me see. Present.
Yeah. Is there a?
Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So I've just got this quote here from Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. She's do you know who she is? Have you heard of her?
No.
I reckon she's probably in her 80s. She's an older lady, and she's a writer. And she's written all these amazing books, and she wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. And she's like a psychotherapist. She's just an amazing woman. She's written all these things. So I've just got this piece of words in here from her, which to me relate to the moon. It's not called the phases of the moon. These words are just hers. So the psyches and souls of women also have their own cycles and seasons of doing and solitude, running and staying, being involved and being removed, questing and resting, creating and incubating, being of the world and returning to the soul place. So to me, those words really encompass the whole full moon cycle, whole moon cycle from the new moon all the way to the full moon back down on the other side. It's just there's so much going on with the ebbs and flows, the questing, the resting, the creating, the incubating, everything. I just love her. She's so cool.
Yeah, that's great.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anytime I read anything from her, I'm just like, oh my God, she's amazing. So my intention for sharing this info with you about moon magic is to just gain some insights to help you connect, heal, grow, and shine with the support of the moon phases. And just knowing always that the moon is always there, regardless of whatever is going on down here. It's like just such a stable, shining light in the sky above, as is our sun as well, which I'll touch on in a minute with the sun as well. And the moon is very organic. She's very organic and she's very natural. And she really helps us when we tap in with our moon cycle, or with the moon phases, I should say. She really helps us deepen our soul growth and connection to our own spirit within. And then yin and yang with the moon. So that's with the waxing and the waning. Sorry, I should say yang and yin. So yang, yin is the waning phases, and yang is the waxing phases. And I'll go in and explain a bit about yin and yang as well. It's not male and female. It's more of an energy of a yin and an energy of a yang. It's really got nothing to do with men or women when I talk about yin and yang. And I'll talk about the 8 moon phases and just share some tips and tools and different prompts and practices that you can create on your moon journey. And I always like to think of the whole, when you're following a moon cycle, think of the whole thing as being an interactive relationship with the moon, and it's fun, useful and inspiring.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's always, yeah, and it's always ever changing, always ever changing. So yeah, I just like this picture of the sky. So the sky is actually living, like it's the living sky up there, just like we're living down here.
Yep.
It's living up there. Who knows what's living up there with it? You probably know more than me about that thing. And those who don't know, what is it with the UFO festival that you do?
Oh, I run the Australia's only UFO festival show where the universe comes to party in Cardwell.
In Cardwell, Far North Queensland, Australia.
Far North Queensland, our hometown where we both grew up.
Wow.
Yeah, so annual festival is fantastic. Lots of fun.
Awesome. When is it? August?
August every year, yep.
Yeah, cool. But I just like this picture. It's cool because the sky, you know, we forget there's so much more than just planet Earth.
Yeah.
So much more. It's all interconnected. So the sun and the moon, they're not actually planets. They're called the luminaries. They're not actually planets, but for astrology's sake, we refer to them as planets. It's just easier. So we've got the sun, we've got Earth, and we've got the moon, and we three work very closely together. The sun, obviously, nothing would exist without the sun.
Yep.
If the sun goes, we're all goners.
Yep, that's it.
You know, but the moon is ours. She belongs to Earth, and we wouldn't even see the moon if it wasn't for the sun, because her light is a reflection of the sun on her journey around the Earth. So just to give you a bit of context, so the moon and the sun and Earth. So we're down here living in the matter on planet Earth. And then we've got the sun, which is our divine spark. There's just a few words I've got to describe it. The ego, the life force, the giver of life, the self-identity, eternal spirit, vitality, creativity, typically associated with the father figure and typically a yang energy. And then we've got the moon, which is more about our emotions, moods, feelings, emotional reactions. She's receptive, reflective, very much about our habitual nature, connected to our instinct, lineage, subconscious, and is yin in nature and connected with the mother. So you can see how they both complement each other, and then we're down here living on the earth as her and his. I shouldn't say her and his. I shouldn't say that in the times we live in now.
Yeah, I don't know, Shell.
I know. I'd say masculine and feminine all the time. Like I mean, yeah. That's a whole other conversation, I suppose, but yeah.
But energetically, there is female and male energies. There is masculine and feminine energies. And I don't think you can actually, when you're talking energy, you can't actually get away from that.
No, it's hard to, isn't it? Yeah.
That's just my beliefs anyway.
Yeah. And I'm the same as well. Yeah. The sun is definitely masculine, the moon is definitely feminine. But you know, not to say the sun does have sometimes feminine, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
You know, like a sunrise and everything is a very feminine thing, and a sunset, you know, but the blaring sun in the middle of the day is very masculine, as you know. So the same with the moon. When she's a full moon, it's very full on, you know. But yes, so we'll just move on from there. So so the moon has an urge to fulfill our basic needs, and she's receptive in nature, so she's passive. And that's not to say she's a pushover. It's just a passive, more gentle nature, that yin aspect. And the sun is more positive yang, but like I was just saying before, they both work in harmony together. So the sun has an urge to express the self, and the moon has an urge to fulfill our basic needs. So she's receptive and passive. And this is just some other words that I've got on here just to further clarify yin and yang from where I come from, with the way, well, I think in general, most the way it is. It's like light and shade, positive and negative. It's the duality of everything, up, down, you know, there's a polarity to everything. So yin is typically like being, restoring, listening, receiving, those energies. And then the yang is more the doing, initiating, speaking and giving. So in this situation, I would probably right now be more yang and you're more yin. You're receptive, you're listening to what's going on, and I'm directing and talking about what's happening. So just you can see it when you see it all around you, you know?
Yeah. And that's all about balance, isn't it? You know, you have to have that yin and yang balance throughout your work day.
And it's so good when you realize that as well. Like, you realize when, so yin, restoring, being, resting, you know, when you need to get up and do some exercise and be in your yang, you know, because you're feeling stagnant and you've been, you know, maybe too much in your yin, and you just need to move some energy and get flowing or do whatever, you know, something invigorating. Doesn't have to be exercise. It can be having a sauna or, you know, whatever. Doesn't have to be, you know,
full on.
No, going for a walk or something. But yeah, so everything always has that polarity.
Yeah.
So this is just a picture of the moon as she goes through. So typically the first 2 weeks, so the moon cycle is around 28, 29 days, the whole cycle. So the first 2 weeks is what is called the waxing phases, and that's leading up to the full moon. And it's got a general vibe of being eager, optimistic and trusting, that general vibe in that first 2 weeks of that waxing energy. And then she gets full moon and then she wanes down. And I always refer to it as like coming off the boil, you know, when you're boiling your eggs and they're, and then you take them off the stove and then they simmer down. It's a simmering down and a gradual getting smaller and slower and consolidating, maintaining and repairing. So two distinct energies from a waxing moon phase and a waning moon phase. And then this just goes on a little bit more with the actual yin phases. So the crescent, the gibbous, the disseminating and the balsamic. So there's 8, I talk about the 8 main phases, but in all reality, the moon is in a different phase every millisecond.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but so I've started with the yin phases here. The waxing crescent is a yin, the waxing gibbous, then the disseminating and the balsamic. Some people call that what do they call that, disseminating, or they call it the waxing gibbous as well, or they call it the waning gibbous, or they call it the waning balsamic. Yeah. And then the yang. I haven't got the new moon on here because she's black, and I got the new moon.
You won't see that?
You can't, this image, I didn't realise it wasn't on there. And then the first quarter, the full moon, and the third quarter, they're that yang energy. And we'll just talk a little bit more about those. So this is just what I was saying before about where do they start and where do they end. And it's really one continuous, like I said earlier, the moon is organic. She's always in a state of flux and flow. And she's always moving. She's always, you know, changing slightly. And that's why she moves so quickly in the sky as well. She's in a different zodiac sign every 2.5 days, and then in a different moon phase every 3.5 days. So the moon phases are human intervention. You know, we've created these. There'll be various other varieties of ways that people, you know, decipher the moon phases as well. Some places would look at the moon every night and have a name for that different moon phase as well. So, but these are the 8 main moon phases.
Yep.
So let's look at the 8 main phases. So the first one is the new moon. Let me see. So I'm moving that picture around there. So the new moon. So this is when the moon is at her darkest, and it's actually a yang phase. Even though it's a very quiet, still phase, it's a very purposeful, productive time at a new moon. So people have probably heard it's the time when you plant a seed and make an intention. And it is, because it's the beginning of another moon cycle. So it's the beginning of a new moon cycle. So it's a very potent time, and it's a time, so see people doing ceremonies and setting intentions, planning, creating, making dreams and things like that. And with regards to all of this that I'm explaining, I'm not going to go into the actual signs that they're in. It's just the energy of the phase. It's just the energy of the phase that the moon's in. I'm not going to talk about the actual signs that they're in, which is, you know, more to talk about. It gets too complex at the beginning. Just feel into that energy of a new moon and what that feels like for you, and just feel what you want to start, what you want to create, and get specific. It's very important to get specific at a new moon time. And you've got, you know, the first two days, sort of 3 days of this new moon energy to really feel in and think about it. And a lot of the time when you do a little ceremony, and, you know, give yourself quiet and space to actually go within, to think about what it is you want, and not be distracted by even what sign it's in and what house it's in for you and all that sort of stuff. Just really sit with the moon and yourself and just feel in. And whatever you come up with, it is right for you at the time. And I think that's what a lot of people get, like a little bit like thinking it's not the right intention, or I should have done this or I should have done that. Everything is right in its own pace.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you're right there, Shell. A lot of people put too much focus and energy on what they think they should be doing, rather than just using that energy to just sit.
Yeah,
take it in.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I will just touch on the shadow feeling. And when I say the shadow, it is potentially that like doubt that comes in at the time. So, you know, to go deep. Am I not going deep enough? Should I be going deeper? You know, what you just said before, you know, just don't worry, just do what feels okay for you. Or then they stay with the status quo. They're too afraid to go there.
Yep. So
then they actually don't. It's just between you and you.
That's, you know, do you know what I think actually, Shell, that could be also quite hard for some people, because it is you. Yeah, and a lot of the time we want someone to help us and guide us, and that is the whole reason why we do all of the things that we do, all our chats and everything, and all the sharing and everything to help. But you just start where you are, start with that next little bit and that next little bit, you know, and don't worry, there's always going to be another moon cycle. and one thing, Shell, if you don't mind me saying, I just wanted to say, and people don't need, especially when they're starting out with the moon, they don't need to be so serious. You know, just have fun with it, explore it, feel into it for yourself. Yeah, and I felt actually like that, not so much with this, but it's the same sort of thing like when I first started with meditation. Yep. I was like, I'm not doing it right. And Peter, my husband, he was just like, you don't have to be so serious about it. And I was just like, oh my God, like I felt like there was just like this rules around it or something. And then when you just let go of all that, that's when it becomes enjoyable. And that's what I said right at the beginning of this thing. Make it a relationship and an interaction. And if you feel alone, you're not, because look at the moon. Yeah. Like, you know, that if you've got nowhere to go to, look at that. And actually sometimes looking at the moon is more supportive than anyone else. Because you know what, Shell, the moon's always there. Yeah, she's seen it all before. She's seen all your ancestors before you. She's seen everyone. She's seen, and that's why she's connected to lineage. She's been here all the time, and she knows what to do for you and how to help you. So I suppose that's where I've got the status quo, to stay with the status quo. Yeah. The shadow, sometimes people feel it can be like a feeling a bit all too much, especially when you are starting out. That's right. When you are starting with something. So just keep it light and easy. Like, just keep it light and easy, you know, like whatever it may be. And mistaking wishes and fears for reality. And, you know, and this is a big one too, dreaming but not doing, and being like naive and vague. I know that might sound a bit hard, but sometimes like the new moon energy wants you to be clear. Yeah. And so don't worry about if it's, because just keep it clear, as simple. Like don't have this, like there's a whole plan down the road, and don't worry about getting down there, just get to here. Yeah. With tomorrow
tomorrow's energy and tomorrow's energy and tomorrow's energy, but start with today. So don't, yeah. And look, I called it moon magic, and that sort of does allude to wishing and all that sort of stuff. That word, I've thought about that word a lot.
Magic is creation too, though, Shell.
Well, I thought of this the other day, and magic is, it is just creating something new for yourself. And it happens when everything is vibrationally aligned.
Yeah, and magic is it's the putting everything together, the development, the putting it all together and creating what you want.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen out of thin air.
No.
It all happens from one thing to another. And I think, so if some words don't resonate, well, just work the word that resonates for you. I think that's important, because words really do matter. And if something doesn't sort of feel right, you just work out what works for you. So this new moon, whatever your ceremony may be, it might just be sitting, having a cup of tea, sitting on your veranda, whatever, having a shower. If you've got 5 kids and the only time you have is your 5-minute shower at night in the shower, whenever that may be. But just set those few minutes at that new moon time just for yourself. And, and the whole intention thing, it can be as an elaborate or as simple as you want it to be.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing, which I've noticed over the years that I've done moon cycles and stuff, is actually just keeping a track of it somewhere, whether it's in your diary, whether you've got a dedicated journal, whether you've got whatever, something in your undie drawer, just keeping it. Because then you're honoring yourself by keeping that, you're honoring, and you're just keeping the responsibility on yourself and the awareness of yourself there. So that's just one thing I would say, is just, don't let it just slide, just put it down somewhere. So then the next moon phase, so we've just got the first pictures down here on the left of the first four phases. So the next one is the crescent moon phase. So now we're moving into more yin energy. So when you intentionally go with a moon cycle, you will definitely notice a difference in your energy after about the first 3 days from a new moon. You'll start sinking into your yin, and you'll start feeling into your intention if you've been, looking at it for the last few days. And that's one thing I will say over the whole moon cycle, you have to revisit your intention every day. You really do have to just give it that attention that it needs. Having said that, some people who very much are yang dominant in their energetics, if you come to the first yin phase, this could be challenging as well, because you're used to going all the time and not actually slowing down and breathing and putting the brakes on a bit. So it can go either way. It's very interesting, actually. And when I say yin, it's not time just to sit around and do nothing. The waxing yin phases are very productive yin phases.
Yeah.
Like you got the hose there watering the garden. You got to put in a bit of effort to get the thing to happen. And having said that, every single waxing yin phase of the moon cycle will feel differently each time.
Yeah.
Because the moon will be in a different spot in the sky as well, in a different zodiac sign. You'll have a different intention, everything. So there'll always be a different energy to it, but there'll be a sort of familiar waxing yin crescent moon energy to it. So it is a important time. This moon phase works with the new moon phase that we've just had, and this moon phase, so they actually work together. So that was the yang, and now we're in the yin, and they work together, those two phases. So it's
sorry, Shell, do you think if someone is like sort of struggling with feeling into that, do you think journaling would be good? Just to get that out?
I think so. And sometimes, journaling in different things. I know you've got lots of books and things like that on helping people with words and stuff like that. But for me, journaling, just dot points.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like you said, keeping a diary. Yeah.
And then it's really interesting. And if you can, just keep a journal, a moon journal, and then you can go back and see how you were at that waxing phase. compared to the next one or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, it's really important. And you know,
just dot points in a diary would be fine for that, wouldn't it?
So just say you've done your new moon intention 3 days ago, and it was we'll use a simple one, which a lot of people tend to fall off the wagon with, going exercising to the gym or something, right? And you did it for the first 3 days, and now it's the 4th day into the waxing yin. Yin has come in, crescent moon, and you're just like, can't be fucked, and you don't go and you sleep in, or whatever. And then see, you also, I think I've got here, they work together in faith, knowing. So you need to, it is a time that you have to nurture and care for yourself. Cultivate it. The new moon will have energy of going, yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And then the realness comes in at this phase. So embodiment rather than waiting, I've got there. That's a really important one. And embodiment is even journaling as well. That is getting out of, you know, it's expressing out and actually doing something rather than, you know, even though this is yin, but it's important to, that's a yin thing anyway, journaling. And also the shadow. So it can be an impulse for too much action for those people who are very much in their yang. So this is where people will identify quickly how they burn out. Okay, so it requires patience and pace, yin. So you might just still be at that new moon, go, but just be conscious of it. That's all. And I'm not saying, like, if you're really energized to not do anything. It's really tuning into your own rhythms. And it's just when you do it in line with the moon's rhythms, it's just interesting to see how sustaining it is for you. So that's the slither of the sky, slither of light coming in the sky. It's the first bit of light we see with the waxing crescent moon, and then we come into the first quarter moon. Now this is an interesting phase, the first quarter moon. So it's waxing again, so we're still before the full moon, and it's a yang phase. So this is, if you'll notice, if you've been in a bit of a yin state just in the previous phase, you'll notice a bit of a oomph for action to come in and do things. And if you've been leaning into your new moon intention, you'll find a bit of trust building within yourself on things. But you will also notice at this time disruptions and interruptions. With stuff. It is notorious, this phase, for things coming along where you need to exercise your boundaries. It's so interesting. And this is where you can see that if things do come along and you can see, okay, I do need to build a better framework around this. I do need to establish roots, you know, and you can see that. And this is where I've got the picture of there getting your hands dirty in the dirt. You got to do some things to get the thing happening. And it does require drive and energy as well, and strong will at this phase. So this phase is connected with the next phase, which is coming up next, a yin phase. So just know that there's a yin phase coming up. So putting in a bit of effort here. So, you know, don't doubt yourself. So, you know, we're 6 days into the exercise regime, and where are we at with it, kind of thing. You know, 7 days into it, where it's been a week, where are we at with it, kind of thing. So just jump back on board if you've let it slide and build that up again. And it can be a time of tension and concern. So these things I've noticed over moon cycles of how it can play out potentially.
I think knowing that those will probably come up in that phase, it's good to know that that is going to come up, so that you can be prepared for that.
Yeah, it is. And it can also come up, and it can also be a really good, like, realization as well, like being prepared. So like being, okay, I'm cool with that, I can deal with it. So then we've got the next phase, which is just before the full moon, and we all know what that feels like, just before a full moon brewing. I'm working in hospitality for many years, and when I worked in the bank and God, with customers, and you work in pubs and stuff.
Yeah, in the bars, yes.
You know, and people, there's definitely an energy before a full moon. There's no ifs or buts about it with anyone. Like hospitals, I imagine what ambulance workers are like and all that sort of stuff. And so it's coming to its boil, like the boiling pot on the stove. It's coming up to the boil. It is a yin phase. It is a yin phase, but it's still, you got to simmer a bit, you know. You just got to because if it's going to boil over, that's how it feels like it's going to boil over sometime before the full moon comes. So this is incredibly important time to be really trustful and mindful, particularly on outside things like may impact you.
Yep.
So, and it's a really good time to welcome support and help if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Now, Shell, I think that's really important that especially, I mean, it's always important to reach out for support at any time when you're going through things. But at this particular time, especially if you're sort of working on accomplishing something, this is the time to reach out.
Yeah. And if anything, if it shows you anything, it shows where like you can be sinking here and you just go, I do actually need help.
Yeah.
And it identifies within you. It's hard asking for help. The last thing, like we both got kids and stuff, and the last thing when Alira was a baby was to ask for help.
Yeah, I know. The
last thing I was like, I can't ask anyone for help. Like, it's just, I don't know, like, but it was what I needed.
That's such an interesting topic, though. I mean, we could go on for hours about that, but it really isn't. Especially, I think it's more of a female thing.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Yes. And when you, I suppose it is changing a bit now, the understanding of support and help for people. But when people need help, they don't typically ask for it.
Exactly.
And you can't assume someone. So this is also a good time for giving help to someone.
Yeah, for recognizing what's going on around you.
Yeah. Like you're at the shops and someone, kid just runs amok and mum drops everything, or just help her.
Yes, just help the woman.
Just help the woman or someone. It's really nice time to help someone because it hits the fan at this phase. This is the real hit the fan. But also, so when I said looking for help, also from just like a collaboration thing, it's also a good time to like see where good help is as well, and what could help you, kind of thing. So it's a good time for teamwork and co-creation. It's a really good time for that. And also being open-minded to other possibilities other than what, you thought at the beginning. So at the beginning, we thought, okay, I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to go 5 times a week. Yep. Actually, maybe I might just only be going 2 or 3 times a week. And that's okay.
Yeah. And don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good time to readjust. It's a very good time to readjust. So like I've got here, the shadow is like anxiousness, people feeling very vulnerable, confused, unsure, getting off track, too compromising. So it's a good time. If you let a few days slide, go back to your new moon intention. And like I said, if you need to, what did I write on there? Revisit your intention. Maybe the 7 days, 5 days, whatever was too much of a stretch. Maybe it should just be 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Just and it doesn't matter. You didn't fail. Nothing. There is no failure at all. Yeah. So, and look after yourself. It's very important at this moon phase is to look after yourself. So they're the waxing phases coming up to the full moon. The waxing phases.
Yep.
So we got the new moon, the crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous. So we started out with yang, yin, yang, yin. Okay, and then we come to our beautiful full moon. So everything's ripe. The fruit's ready to pick off the tree. It's ready. We're doing our thing. or are we? It doesn't matter. Now, one thing I will just point out, so this moon cycle from the new moon to the full moon now, and then back down to the new moon, this is just one part of a greater cycle. A lot of people think the new moon intention comes to fruition now, 2 weeks, you know. That actual new moon intention comes to fruition in 6 months. Really, really. It's an ongoing cycle. And like I was saying, the moon is reflective. She's related to memory and everything like that. So she's got a bigger cycle. But in the scheme of just everyday living, on the everyday, you know, tuning in with the moon cycle, this is good to see how you're going with that.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. You know, drinking less coffee, going to the gym more, whatever. Journaling every day, whatever your new moon intention was. And really, honestly, keep it as simple as it can be for you.
Yeah. But also, Phil, this is where your moon diary comes in.
Yes. It is. And it's really helpful. Like, honestly, it's so good. So the full moon is like, she's bright in the sky. It's the culmination point of like the water's boiling on the stove. It's ready. It's ripe. It's, you know, everything is clear and obvious now. Yeah, it's obvious. It's clear. It is what it is. And the moon, when she shines her brightest light, that's like the phase before the full moon. There's a lot of things coming to the light at that phase. That's why there's a lot of anxieties and things like that. A lot of things are coming to the surface, and then the full moon shines it on, and there's no hiding from anything, from any of it. So what was previously felt is now seen at that full moon. Yeah. So she's ready. She's got a fearless energy, and we're alive and living. But I think the analogy with the fruit, like I've had the whole way through with the plants and stuff, the fruit, it's when the fruit is at its prime and it's ready to be picked. You've looked after the plant. It's been nourished. It's been weeded. It's been all this, that, and the rest. And it's a time to like really go, yum. I enjoy it. And just enjoy in what you've done. And it's made manifest. So it's a really celebratory time. Yeah. And like I've got here, move ahead or just let it go. And that's why the full moon is so good, to let shit go and let the light shine on it and just let it go and release it and then move on from it. It's so good for that. So there is a shadow to everything. There's light and shade to it all. So there can be a real separation feeling as well. If you're doing something, making big changes or doing something new, you know, it can be a separating feeling from something that you're familiar with. Yep. And moving into new territory. You know, that there can be negativity and entrapment and a sense of paralysis. That sounds all really heavy, and it can be. So I don't want to also like the moon shows yourself. Yes. Very much created to our emotional well-being and the way our emotional response. So if you do feel any of these things, you know, get support and get help with it. But it can seriously, and some full moons are easier than other full moons. All depends where it falls in your chart and what's happening with you personally. We're all so unique and different. So some people can be like, oh my God, I didn't sleep, you know, for that full moon. And other people are like, oh, are you kidding? I was fine. It was great. Yeah, I know. I've had that before. But also, Shell, I think that's really important with the shadow. Like if you have come to the full moon and you actually really have let go and you've come to an understanding that there may be some emotions or something going on in your life that you've decided, okay, I'm releasing this, I'm letting it go. Yeah. Because you have held on for many, could possibly be decades or a lifetime or even ancestral, that you're holding on to something. You will feel that separation, entrapment, that paralysis, that will happen. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So, and even just, you know, when we talk about all that, what an amazing healing tool. Yes. Like, fuck. But you know, Shel, I think this is really good, this PowerPoint you've put together, because at these stages, you know, people can refer back and they can go, oh, I'm feeling like this. And then there's almost like an understanding then, like, okay, I am okay. Yeah. I am okay.
like I'm not losing the plot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that sense of paralysis. Like,
yes.
It's just like, am I losing my mind? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but just go, you know, just regroup with yourself and just know, and know it will pass as well. Like, know this will pass. The full, she moves in flux, ebbs and flows all the time, and it will pass. So, you know, there can be feelings of being overly dramatic, disassociation, deeply sensitive. But it's, you know, a very good time to observe repeated subconscious patterns and behaviors.
Yes.
So even, you know, talking about maybe the person who never accepts help. And then full moons come and you're just like, this is all fucking too much. Like, and it's like, well, actually, maybe I need to put some boundaries in place. Maybe I need to, you know, just tweak things a bit or whatever. We all have to take responsibility for our own behaviors and what happens in our life. So, and sometimes it can be like hard pills to swallow.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but also really good for repeated subconscious behaviors and patterns of other people as well.
Yes.
So, you know, shines a light.
And analysing what you are allowing to happen.
Yeah.
What behaviours you're allowing other people to bestow upon you.
Yeah. And I've got down the bottom there, the full moon works in conjunction with the disseminating moon, which is coming up next. So that's the full moon. I mean, we can do rituals, and I'm not going into any of that stuff. That's a whole other discussion we can have on different rituals and ceremonies that we like to do and stuff like that. But this is really just getting an understanding of the energy that surrounds this particular phase. And, you know, it is not limited to what I've said here. It's just, infinite. You can, you know, and you work through it, how it feels for you as well. So that's the full moon. And then we've got the disseminating moon. I like the disseminating moon. Yeah.
Yes.
It's this massive exhale. And it's
That's
just
what I was going to say. It's like you just slump into your chair.
And it's, and you just sit there and I'll have some grapes, thanks. But it is a time to, like, if you've been doing the work, so to speak, in the waxing phase, it is really a time to reap the rewards and go, you know, I did everything I could. I've learnt the lessons of where I could have done things better or whatever. And it's a time to really honour and respect yourself and be grateful for what you've done. Honestly, I love this moon phase. I mean, I love them all. But the waning phases, I sometimes feel like the waning phases, people just forget about the moon.
Yeah. Do you know what I think? I think something that's really good for this time is even like just book yourself in for a pedicure or a manicure or something. You know, and that will just be, your energy levels will go up so much from that. Hold on. Have you lost me?
Yeah, I've lost your video. Oh, no. We'll just wait a bit for Thea. We'll just wait a bit for Thea and see if she comes back in. A little distraction there. Do you know what? I'm going to leave. Let me just share my screen again. Share. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to leave this video just about the waxing moon phases. And we've come up to the full moon, and now I'm going to chat about, in the next video with Thea, next time we chat with Thea, we will talk about the waning moon phases. So thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, reach out. I actually do readings. I'm an astrologer. I do readings. I have various support tools on my website, which you can buy. I've got a moon course, which goes into depth about the different moon phases, supporting PDFs and supporting videos for you on a moon cycle journey. And lots of beautiful things that I make, soap, and I've got beautiful incense and support tools on there. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.